Let's look at some basic fundamentals of AutoChart. First, import and then open. The first step in building a map is getting the information that you stored on your SD card when you made your recording on the lake. On the sidebar on the left, we will use the import function to do this. When you click on the import button, realize that there are two different kinds of recordings that you can load into AutoChart. First is the AutoChart Live information. If I will change my file extension to AutoChart Live, the .acu, and go into my AC data folder, you can see the various files that I have. If I change it to record, which would be the .dat file extension, I have to go into my record folder, and there will be the .dat files. What's the difference? Well, the AutoChart Live is functionality that Humminbird introduced long after they had their record function. This record function requires you to go into your unit and go to the recording menu and start a recording and then stop a recording. Whereas the AC data is basically going into AutoChart Live and turning on recording and then stopping recording. So that's how you can get both of these imported into AutoChart. And so I will click on that. It will take me to a folder, and I'm going to go down and pick out a file that I want to process. So I click on that and click open. It did a conversion and it created a file for me that I can use in AutoChart. You'll notice that it created a box and an icon. What this is the area that I covered when I made that recording, and if I will hover over the dot or the icon, it's going to give me the location, my file location, so that I can see which file that was. This was R00249, and you'll notice that it created a .acd file extension, and that is what an imported file looks like in AutoChart. I can also get multiple files. So I could come down here and let's say I want to start with 250 and I want to get to 254. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and click on 254. It has selected all of these. And let's say that I also want 257. So I will hold the control key down and click on 258. So now I have selected several files all at one time. I'll click open. The conversion happened and it put more files out there for me. I showed you how to import using the icon on the sidebar. You can also go click on File and Import Convert, and it does the same thing. So I can come down here and I will pick out R00260, click open, conversion done. It's created it for me. So there are two ways you can do that to do the import. Now that we have imported our files into AutoChart, the next step is to open them. So I'm going to click on this one and find out that that is recording 258. So I'm going to click on open. I'm going to come down here and click on 258. Notice I clicked on the one with the ACD file, and that's all that's showing now because that's the file extension we're looking for. It didn't show the .dats that we did when we did the import. Click open, and there. You can see how it's changed my display. It took off the other boxes and icons for the other recordings, and it just left the track that the system made when we did our recording. Now I could click here to create map, and it will show me a little map. I can click new, open. Let me just select all of them. I can't select all of them. I have to do them one at a time like this. There's a better way I'll show you in a minute. Selected that recording, create my map, Now I have something I can look at that's got more contours on it. As you can see, it goes up shallower as we get close to the shore. Clicking new again. Now, I did an open that way, and I could also do open by going this way, clicking open, or I could click the open here. So there's a variety of ways you can get that information. There's a better way though. As you saw a minute ago, we had to open those individually. Here's the way we really need to do it in AutoChart, is to right click in the center of an area and say map here. So what I have told our AutoChart is now I want you to work within this grid, and the grid is set up by some parameters in AutoChart. I'll talk about those later. But you'll notice that these sidebars went away. So we have the recordings that fit in this quadrant, in this box, and it is now showing us the tracks made on each recording instead of the rectangles and the icons. Now if I will click on Create Map, now I have something a little better to look at. I can zoom in on this, and I could go ahead and change this and just look at the contours, and you can see, I can see that. Go back, and I like to look at it in the color version. Let's do a 3D. This is one of the neat features of AutoChart that I really like, is to be able to look at things in 3D. And you can kind of change the scale of how these look. In other words, I could come in here and I could say, really stretch this thing out and make it look like that. Or I can come in here and I can say, very little. So you can kind of customize that the way you want it. I just kind of jumped ahead a little bit to show you some additional functionality in AutoChart. So I'm back where I was. Now, to create the map for my SD card, all I need to do is click LakeMaster Update. Now, this is the first time that I have created a LakeMaster map on my AutoChart SD card. The first time, it's going to ask you if you want to show depths in meters or in feet. I'm going to say feet, so I press enter. It's off making the LakeMaster map. Done. Now, it says that it successfully updated my chart, and do I want to change my background map to display the custom LakeMaster map? I'm going to click OK. So it did. Now, I have a sidebar over here now, really a slider bar, and this is going to control the amount of color that I show. And you'll notice down here in the lower left hand corner it has the legend for the different colors and corresponding to depths. So I can come over here and I can pull this down, and as you can see, it's taking the color off. When I get down to this level, this is what it's going to look like on my LakeMaster map. Now, just like I can on my Humminbird unit, I can tell AutoChart that I want 2, 3, or 4 colors or more, and it will vary the colors of my graph accordingly. So at this point, we have imported data into AutoChart. We have created a map, and then we put it on our SD card. Right now, I could go take that SD card, stick it in my Humminbird unit, go out on the lake, and this information will be there just like this. So now we've created our first map. Let's cover the internal map size, what I'm calling the active area. If you'll remember in our previous lessons, If I right click in an area and click map here, it's going to draw a grid. And that's an area of the lake they call the internal map size. I will show you where you change that size if you want to. You would go to Tools, you would go to Settings, Tools, Settings, and go to General. And then you would come down here to the internal map size, and it has various options. You can make the size smaller or you can make the size bigger. But if you get very big and you have a lot of recordings, you might have some memory problems. So I'm going to leave it just the way it is at 1000 by 1000. And so that's the size of this internal map, or I call it the active area. While I'm here, I can do things I want to. I can create a map. I can look at it in 3D. There's not much to look at because it's very shallow in this area. But I'm going to show you something now. I am moving down, doing a map recenter, and notice that the information that I had created a minute ago is gone. Part of the information that I created when I created the map is still here, but now it's showing me the track lines and the rest of the area. So I can do a create map, and voila, it shows me that. But the other tracks from the other areas are not here. And if I will do new, you can see where I had all these recordings. What this tells you is when you create or have an active area, the information is only temporary and stays there until you change the active area. You can save the map though by clicking Lake Master Update. So if I click on this, and once again I removed my AC folder before I started this session, so I'm going to say feet. It has created the information on my Lake Master map. If I move it down a little bit, do the map recenter. I can create the map. Now I'm going to trick you a little bit. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say map recenter, and I'm going to create the map. Notice that since I moved my area down, this area in the middle that we had worked on a minute ago is now bare. So now I'll create my Lake Master map. So you can see it still has the information from the first time I did my update. I did not do an update for this area, and I did do an update for the bottom. So let's just go make this right. So I'll come in here and center that and do map recenter. Create map. And I'm going to update my custom Lake Master map. So that's done. So that's a handy lesson to show you about the active areas, or what they call the internal map size, and how you can create maps, do things that you want to with it. You can start new and everything, and nothing is saved off to your SD card until you click this button to have the Lake Master map updated on your SD card. Then it's a permanent part of your AC file. As you can see, I just loaded AutoChart, and what I want to see is I want to see the map I created before. How do I do that? Well, one of the first things we did was map here. What is that doing for me? Once again, that's just basically showing my track lines. So that's not what I want to see. Well, unfortunately, the best way to show you your map in in AutoChart is I have to pick out an area, and let's say I'll pick this area here, map here, and I will create my map and update my Lake Master card. Click OK. Now, what that did is that displayed the Lake Master map and everything I have done before all over the lake. So there's not really a button you can push that will bring up the map that you've created, so you have to kind of trick it and key in an area, create the map, and then update your Lake Master card. Then it'll bring it up so you can see it. Here's a way you can display your AutoChart recordings one at a time. If you'll remember, we use the import function to create the ACD files from the .dat files. I'm actually in my Windows Explorer now, and I'm looking at this folder, and I'm just going to double click on one of these recordings. And what happened was AutoChart brought up a new instance of the program for this one recording. So I can look at that if I want to. I could, update my chart, or update my map, things of that nature if I want to. But if I'm just wanting to view these and see where the recording was made, this is a very quick way of doing that. So far our examples have all been for Lake Ray Hubbard in this one area. If I do have recordings for other lakes on my SD card or other locations, I can just click on those and it brings them up. Here I'm on Lake Fork. So by using this little technique, you can quickly go to different areas on the lake or different lakes and locate where your recording is.